In this session, we are going to focus on the description of a process, or process description, or process analysis. So by the end of this unit, you should be able to define a process, state the types of processes, and write a description of a simple process. Let's begin by defining the process. A process description is a detail of a series of events whose occurrence is in a particular order over a period of time. And a process explains how something happens, or how something works, or how something is done. There are three main items that should be considered when writing a process. That is the input. What exactly is it that is needed to get the process done? And then you have the process itself, that is the steps. And lastly, the output, that is the product of the process. Now, different writers, different authors use different terminologies to classify the types of processes. Some use the following classification. You have natural processes such as the seasons, biological processes such as digestion, mechanical processes such as how a car engine works, social processes such as how to get your NRC or your national identity card, industrial processes such as how paper is made. That is one category. Others would use terminology such as linear processes, that is processes that are one directional, cyclical processes, that is processes that work in form of a cycle such as the seasons, dependent or interdependent processes. So depending on the text that you read, you will come across these different descriptions or discussions of what a process description is. That should not throw you off guard, because the general principle of a process description is the same. And this is what we are going to pay attention to as we go through this particular discussion. So how do you state or structure or organize a process description? Now, a process description can be divided into three sections, where you have the introduction, the chief steps or the step-by-step description, and the conclusion. In the introduction, you are going to ask 5 questions, or you are going to answer 5 questions to help you complete the writing task. So the first question would be, what is the process? This is where you give the definition of the process itself. Question 2, why is the process performed? So in other words, what is the purpose or what is the function of the process you are describing? Number 3, where and when does the process take place? So you need to indicate where and when the process takes place. Number 4, who or what performs the process? Is there an individual performing the process, or is it an automated process? That would have to be answered. And number 5, how does the process work? So these are the 5 questions that will make up the introduction of a process description. The second stage of a process description, what we call the chief steps or the step-by-step description, this is where you answer the question, what are the principal steps of the process? So here you list the steps in order you have listed them in the introduction, or in order in which they occur when the process is being performed. So for each step of the process, depending on how complex the step is, you will have to define the step, state the purpose or function of the step, provide the necessary context for the step to be performed, and where necessary, a brief mechanism description of how the components in that particular step come together to perform a function. In describing your steps of the process, pay particular attention to style, the style of presentation or the style of discussion. What I mean by style here is the type of language that you use to achieve your description. Now, there are three options here, especially where the operator takes a conspicuous part in the process. In other words, where a human actor is clearly visible in achieving the process. So your three choices are as follows. You can use the active indicative mood. For example, the cook holds the cooking stick. Number two, you can use the passive indicative mood. For example, the cooking stick is held. Number three, you can use the active imperative mood. For example, hold the cooking stick. So whichever choice you select, you must be consistent and write all your steps using that particular language style or presentation you have selected. In the event that the operator does not take a conspicuous part, or the operator or the human agent is less visible or not visible at all, such as describing how a transformer works, then the style of presentation is usually, and not always, in the indicative passive mood. The imperative mood never appears where a human agent is not visible. And then in the concluding paragraph, this is where you will summarize your ideas in 2 to 5 sentences, again, depending on how complex the description is. Now, in the conclusion, look at the disadvantages and advantages of the process itself, that is the whole process. Or you can look at how the process is related to other processes, or you can recall special points about the equipment or the materials that are needed to complete the process.